What's up everybody, it's Robin Gaming here. So it's been quite a while since we've talked about The Last of Us Part 2. The last time was obviously at PlayStation Experience, where we had the whole panel going on, but it really didn't have too much newsworthy stuff to talk about. The most recent trailer was still that second one, which by now is like, I would say, about 5 months ago. So, like I said, it's just kind of been this, quite long period with not too much stuff to discuss. But today, fortunately, kind of changes that, because Neil Druckmann decided to tweet a few days ago about something that was clearly meant to tease the fans a little bit with something new to talk about, and so that's what I pretty much wanted to do. What it all came down to is that a few days ago the Chinese New Year started, and this year will be the year of the dog. So what Neil decided to do is tweet with the exact same hashtag. He tweeted out an image showing himself posing in front of the camera together with a dog next to him in a mocap suit. So that's obviously trying to tell us that this dog will somehow play a role in The Last of Us Part 2. And it had many people talking, and I just wanted to kind of go over the possibilities and what I personally believe this means, right? I think the first thing that you immediately see that many people start bringing up is that, oh, will we see a animal companion in the game, right? Like, will this dog actually go along with Joel and Ellie on the journey, right? Which, of course, could be a possibility, and I would find that very interesting because you don't really see many games that do something like this. On the spot right now, the last game I can think about that had a dog was Metal Gear Solid 5, that I played at least, but generally that's kind of like the exception to the rule, right? Because bringing in a dog with your gameplay kind of like brings in lots of complications and restrictions when designing the game at the same time. So, obviously there's just a lot of stuff to keep in mind there. So if they do decide to go that way, that would surely be interesting. I saw something pretty funny that people pointed out, actually, was that I saw so many people, when discussing this, talk about the fact that, well, if this dog actually, turns out to be your companion in the game, then I already can't wait to see the absolutely brutal, terrifying death that he'll inevitably have to die. Because this is The Last of Us after all, and it's a universe where that this type of stuff happens, and with, all the decisions Naughty Dog made with the previous games, I could very likely see a scene like that play out that's clearly meant to be quite emotional and have you shed a couple of tears. So, if they decide to go that route, then, that's definitely something I would find quite a possibility. But this doesn't necessarily have to mean that this dog will, of course, be your companion. I could also simply see dogs be a part of the enemy factions, like the Fireflies or whoever you're going up against. Maybe they themselves are training these animals, and so they'll use them in the certain shootouts, which would kind of change up the gameplay quite drastically as well, because we know that the first Last of Us, of course, was a very cover-based, stealthy type game. The second one will probably be a bit faster because you're playing as Ellie, but yeah, if you're really gonna have like dogs rushing at you or something like that, that will also reveal your location to all the other enemies there, then, that will obviously have quite some implications on the gameplay itself. So if that is the case, I would also find it interesting to see, how that exactly plays out. The last thing that I initially thought of was, of course, that this could also be that we're gonna see infected dogs or something like that. But I'm pretty sure that Naughty Dog decided to go this certain route with the first game, where they didn't want the animals to, they kind of wanted to have this universe that still had its beauty that it could show off. And so it seemed like the animals kind of just went untouched by everything that was going on in the world. It seemed like only the humans really, or that the whole cordyceps fungus thing only really applied to the humans, but the animals not so much, because we've seen giraffes and monkeys and they all seemed perfectly fine. So yeah, if they do decide to go that way, they're gonna have to kind of explain what happened, what changed, and why now all of a sudden you're coming across these infected animals. So I don't think it's that though. But at the end of the day, when I went over this whole list, all of it is of course a possibility, but we don't know what it is. Really, it wasn't until like a couple of days ago when I was streaming on Twitch that a viewer pointed something out to me, and the moment he did that, I immediately went like, snap, that's probably what it actually is. And so that's what I wanted to share with you, is that he was basically talking to me that, motion capture, you don't have to necessarily look like the character that you're, actually going to play in the game, right? We've seen that with many of the previous Naughty Dog games, and the same thing could apply to this dog. And maybe you're now going like, well, what the hell are you talking about? We already saw that Naughty Dog had teased a certain thing a few weeks before the second trailer came out, where they released that poster, right? They released the poster that was already hinting towards what we were going to see, with the very dark setting, with the hand holding this hammer. We were speculating who exactly is this that we're seeing in this poster here, and we also saw some car wrecks that were on fire. But clearly within the fire and the smoke, you could see the figure of a wolf's head, so they were teasing something there as well. We never found out what that actually was, because the trailer did not include any of that, any wolves or something like that. So, clearly once he mentioned that, I went like, oh, of course, they are actually using these dogs for the motion capture of the wolves in the game. What role those wolves will play, we don't know, but it's very clear that you're not going to use actual aggressive wolves to do your motion capture in the studio. You would use something, you know, an alternative for that, right? And dogs would be the perfect alternative. So I think that this dog that we've seen in this photo doesn't actually play a dog in the game. He'll play the wolf or one of the wolves that we'll actually encounter in the game. And like I said, we still don't know what role those wolves will play, but we do know that they're very likely a part of the game. Because, like I said, the poster clearly seemed to tease something like that. But that's pretty much all that I wanted to share with you. I hope you find it interesting, and I hope that you, that you maybe agreed with what was going on there. Because, like I said, when that viewer pointed that out to me, that just kind of completely changed my mind on the topic, and that made me realize that's probably what it actually is. All that leaves me to pretty much say is that I really quickly wanted to thank you all for all the awesome support that I've seen towards the most recent PlayStation 5 video that I did, because those in-depth videos take a very long time to make. And, you know, the thing that I find so awesome about it is that I'm super passionate about those videos, but they, like I said, take so long to make. But then to see that pay off is really awesome, because, you know, all of you, you know, constantly comment and say that you really enjoy watching those videos. The support is great as far as likes go, and it really seems like people are sharing those videos with friends as well. So that just means a lot to me to see. Thank you for that. And I really quickly wanted to say that starting tonight, I'll be streaming all of the God of War games. Starting with the very first one, obviously to kind of get ready for the release of the new God of War very soon, and for the Countdown series that I'll be starting on YouTube as well. All in all, it's just going to be absolutely awesome. Make sure you check that out as well tonight at twitch.tv/robinoyo. For now, that was pretty much everything that I wanted to talk about. So thanks a lot for watching, everybody, and hope to see you again next time.